Minister for Education and Culture Myron Walwyn this month brought to the House of Assembly a report that was presented 16 years ago to the then Virgin Islands Party government, supporting some of the initiatives that were recently implemented in the public education system. They include the introduction of CXC subjects as a major external measure of students' achievement, as well as the implementation of the additional school year at the secondary level. The report was commissioned by the Caribbean Development Bank as well as the then VIP government and was submitted in the year 2000.
Additionally, Madam Speaker, it must have been by divine intervention that I received a copy of a report named Review of the Education Sector of the British Virgin Islands, which was commissioned by the Virgin Islands Party government during their term from 1999 to 2003. The report was a joint report between the government of the Virgin Islands and the Caribbean Development Bank. The final report was submitted to the government and to the newly formed Ministry of Education in October of 2000, and the member whose question I'm answering at this time was the minister at the material time. In fact, the member became the minister in June of 2000. Madam Speaker, I have a copy of this report, and I would like for you to be able to follow me. And if a copy can go to the Speaker of the Honourable House, I'll be grateful. Public can see what I'm holding in my hand. It was a joint report between the government of the British Virgin Islands and the Caribbean Development Bank. The members of the review team, Madam Speaker, the following persons: Mr. Quince Francis from the CDB Bank, Dr. Ralph Romain, CDB consultant, Dr. Keva Bethel, consultant for education review, Mr. Elroy Turnbull, who was a consultant at the time at the Ministry of Education, Dr. Quincy Letsom, who was the Deputy Chief Education Officer, Mr. Otto O'Neill from the Director of Planning at the Material Time, and Mr. Eliu Reimer, who was a private sector representative, and the terms of reference are there on page 4. But what I would like to bring to your attention, Madam Speaker, is recommendations 64 and 65. Those, Madam Speaker, can be found on page 167. Recommendation 65 that was report sent to the government in October of 2000. Recommendation 65 says this, Madam Speaker, that the secondary school cycle be reconceived to cover a period of 6 years, so as to provide 3 years for the completion of all proposed aspects of the senior high school programs and the requirements of external examinations, that the addition of a 6th year to the senior high school program be introduced in a phased fashion. This is the report commissioned by the Virgin Islands Party. And you hear some of the members now saying that they should be in the primary school when their very own report that they commissioned says differently. We move on to 66, Madam Speaker, that students who are comfortably able to attempt CXC examinations after 2 years in senior high section of the schools be allowed to do so, and to begin advanced level or introductory college level courses in their 6th year of high school. This is exactly, Madam Speaker, what is being done now.
In response, former Education Minister Andrew Foy accused the current minister of being selective with the report he presented to the House. He stated that there were other reports that had contradicted the opinions raised in the one that Walwyn presented to the Parliament. Foy also noted that the opposition is not against the implementation of the additional school year, but the way in which it was being handled.
Madam Speaker, I want to tell the minister to dig in the ministry and bring all the reports, not just that one, but dealing with the 6th form, because there were more. But given, Madam Speaker, that the minister has shifted or trying to shift after informing us 3 years ago that he was going to do the 6th form, Madam Speaker, I asked this follow-up because I understand the minister's intent. And Madam Speaker, I asked this then as a follow-up. Now that we could get back to reality, the minister, knowing that he needed this money, Madam Speaker, to adequately implement the 6th form, this is where the point is and where it's going to remain. Madam Speaker, from 3 years ago, announced it, Madam Speaker. Why was the funding for it, Madam Speaker, not secured Because, Madam Speaker, the human resources in the implementation of an extra year doesn't only go to the 12th grade. It is a known fact that the resources, the human resources at the high school now has been supplemented in terms of the 12th grade getting the needed teachers, but there is a human resource shortage at the high school. Madam Speaker, proper planning with the right financing would have taken care of that. So, Madam Speaker, the question is very simple. Why the funding for the proper implementation, which would have affected the whole school, not just the 12th grade, not just the 6th form, was not secured, given that this was announced from 3 years ago?
Madam Speaker, as I said before, and I mentioned this, Madam Speaker, in the public domain already, that for financial reasons we were not able to complete the buildings. But notwithstanding that, Madam Speaker, we have to start to focus on the quality of programs. Years ago, Madam Speaker, when I was a child, we were taught under a tree, and we learned very well. I'm surprised that at least the member, if we're concerned about education, let us have an argument on the quality of the programs and the instructions that we deliver, Madam Speaker. The point is, we were not ready, but the students are properly housed at HF South Community College. The 12th grade is being implemented, and the programs are going very well, Madam Speaker.
Minister Walwyn was responding to questions posed by opposition member and District 1 Representative Andrew Foy during September 22nd House of Assembly meeting.